Tutahi mihi kia koutou ko hui hui mai nei, I tēnei pō, o tēnei kaupapa whakahirahira, ara ko te mahi o te Māori wards and constituencies. Ai, he mahi whakahirahira tēnei, he mahi aho taumaha a tēnei wā hoki. Inari, nui te aroha kia koutou katoa, ko tai mai nei ki te tautoko I tēnei mahi motuhaki more na hapori. Just really grateful. My name is Jim Margaret. I'm part of the TAG steering group and really grateful to all of you for taking the time to be here tonight, joining us for this really important conversation, this really important campaign around Māori Woods. So we are excited, even though these times are kind of hard and heavy in all of the attacks that this coalition government is bringing towards Te Tiriti and tangata whenua, it is uplifting that there are so many people acting and joining this campaign. So thank you, and all the other mahi that's been happening. Just going to share some words that you may be familiar with, and so feel free to join as we say these words to guide us in our time together. Words from Dr. Huirangi Waikerepu. I te hui, whaia, te mātaranga kia marama. Kia whaitaki nā mahi katoa, tū maia, tū kaha, aroha atu, aroha mai, tātou, ia tātou katoa. So for this gatherings, acknowledge, understanding, have purpose in all that you do. Stand tall, be strong, let us show respect for each other. I'm now going to hand to Val, who is going to give some background to TAG Pōneke and to the principles that guide us and the relationship with mana whenua that guides us. And so over to you, Val. Kia ora.
Tēnā koe. Kei te mihi ki a koutou, kei te mihi ki a koe, Jen Margaret, te kaikarakia o tēnei pō, ko whakawāti te papa mo te kōrero o te pō nei. Kei te mihi ki nā mana whenua, te kotahitanga o Taranaki whānui ki te upoko tika, hei te aki inaia hi ka oko nei. Kei te mihi ki nā kaimahi o tēnei hui kua whakarite I tēnei mahi mo te kōrero me kei te mihi ki a koutou. Kua whakapiri ki te whakarongo, whakaako mo te kaupapa. So kia ora everyone, I'm Valerie. I'm a member of Tiriti Action Group, and I wanted to just talk a little bit about two things tonight. First is, who is Tiriti Action Group? Well, some of you probably have heard a little bit of this story, or maybe you've heard it several times from several different people. Effectively, Tiriti Action Group emerged out of the gathering of the sort of called by what was then known as the OGs. They were people like Annette Sykes, Tamaiti, Tariana, people up at Waipapa Marae last year in advance of the hikoi. And the reason for that hui was to call people together to organize the hikoi. Shamia was there, Shamia Love, and some other mana whenua from Pōneke. And some of us tangata Tiriti were also there at that hui. And at that point, we were very fortunate to come together and have discussions about getting this group started to work effectively under Te Tiriti o Waitangi as Tiriti in Action. And Shamia came back to Wellington, and at that time, mana whenua empowered her to be the representative for the hikoi and the representative for Tiriti Action Group. And so many of you who are on this call were probably involved in the hikoi last year. You might even be in this photograph that's on the screen here. The group essentially exists to uphold rangatira and justice in the region, and we have no political party affiliation. We are an independent grassroots, flax roots organization. Um, and, we come together really in ways to kind of empower that relationship and to do what we can. And one of the great things I think, particularly about the hikoi, some of the feedback from Mana Whenua was that the participation of people in that kaupapa meant that many Mana Whenua were themselves able to more fully participate in the hikoi. So I think that's a real good sign that, that we're kind of giving effect to our aspirations there. That was our sort of pilot project. Since then, we've obviously had an action on Waitangi Day this year, and now kind of moving into the local body campaign, which is why we're all here tonight. So I just want to turn to probably the next slide, which is about the guiding tikanga of Tiriti Action Group. And again, this might be something that you all are very familiar with, or maybe this is the first time that you're hearing about that. And it's called Te Kahu o Te Raukura. And the Raukura are the feathers, the three feathers. Sometimes it's a single feather. And typically those are representative of the ideas of honor, peace, and goodwill. The idea of the Kahu o Te Raukura is a cloak of peace and justice. And this effectively emerged out of the Parliament occupation in 2023, when there were a lot of people in Pōneke who were not behaving as very good manuhiri, who did things like invade Pipitea Marae and attempt to trespass people at Pipitea Marae. And so Mana Whenua felt very much that it was necessary to be really clear about their role as holders of mana in this community, and that's what Te Kahu o Te Raukura is. Obviously, in that particular instance, that related to Parliament grounds, which are the Marakai, the original gardens of the iwi and their ancestral lands around there. But more generally, that impacts all of Pōneke, all of Wellington, and up the Hutt Valley. So we very much recognize Te Kotahitanga o Taranaki Whānui as Mana Whenua and as kind of our po, as our guide. And it's really, I must give apologies for Shamia Love tonight, who is our main po, because she's having some family health issues and she's unable to be with us. So what does that mean in practice? I guess in practice, what it means is that we aim to elevate the kaupapa. So we aim to elevate where others might seek to drag things down into the mud. We aim to act in kotahitanga, in unity and solidarity. And really that means front-footing and keeping hold of the kaupapa, which is rangatiratanga and justice for us. And that's really what standing strong in the Te Kahu o Te Raukura means. For us as an organization, it very much means that as tangata tiriti, we are accountable to Mana Whenua, and we seek their very specific and very particular guidance on how this group organizes itself, the mahi that we take up, and how we conduct ourselves, I guess, out in the world. And so we ask people that are joining in with Tiriti Action Group really to, I guess, reflect on Te Kahu o Te Raukura, how that might reflect in your own actions and your own interactions, I guess, on this campaign, and to really sort of internalize that kind of tikanga as part of who we are as this group. As the slide there says, in all these kaupapa, Te Kahu o Te Raukura must be upheld. And that's what we aim to do. And that's really what guides us as an organization. I just wanted to finish off by just really saying our very deep appreciation from Mana Whenua, from Shamia herself, for all of you who are joining this campaign. I am very much a stand-in here this evening. I am a Pākehā Tangata Tiriti, and I am, I'm on a journey of learning and a journey of kind of understanding how I can better be a Tiriti partner. So our actions aren't always about behaving perfectly, but our actions are always about trying to behave as best as we can under the tikanga that has been laid down by Mana Whenua. So thanks everybody so much for being here tonight, and I look forward to the rest of our kōrero.
We hope that that has laid down or added to your understandings, and thanks for covering that so well, Val. And also just to, yes, acknowledge that in terms of how the presenters this evening, I too, Pākehā from the Canterbury Plains, the presenters this evening do not actually reflect how the composition of Te Tiriti Action Group Pōneke. It just happens that because of availability this evening, they've got a bunch of Pākehā ladies. Pākehā ladies very committed to the kaupapa, but to acknowledge, the many others who, and particularly Mana Whenua, who Shamia and Te Awa, who were to be here, who couldn't be here tonight for this conversation. So we are going to have some time now, or you are, to connect. What I keep forgetting to mention, though, is what's happening in the rest of the session. So just before we have whanaungatanga, I will mention the agenda for tonight, which is that, other than the parts that we've already covered, obviously, there's going to be a time now for you to connect. It won't be the only time over this campaign, obviously, and you'll be in breakout rooms, smaller numbers, but it's an opportunity to meet some people who are involved. We'll be giving some background on what the context for Māori wards and constituencies and what the issues are now. And we'll be talking about the campaign that you are joining and supporting, and kind of how that's been organised and how you can get more involved beyond this training. So those are the sort of core parts that we will be doing tonight. And as you know, there's another training session next week at the end of this session tonight, which we'll be finishing at 8:30 this evening, where we'll be giving you some prompts and some lead-in for that next session. And then there'll be a third session once you've had some time to have some conversations. So that's kind of where we are going. So some time now in breakout rooms, just so that you can connect with at least some of the people on this call. Couple of things in terms of whanaungatanga, sharing about where's home or where your people are from, and then also sharing something about what's motivated you to be part of this campaign, to be here tonight, to be joining us in your in this commitment to keeping Māori wards and constituencies. So we're going to have 10 minutes in those breakout rooms, and you will just be automatically assigned to them, and you will have a 1 minute sort of reminder that the meeting room is going to close. So make sure that everybody's had a chance to speak. When that reminder comes up, just ignore it, and that means that you'll stay in your room and then be automatically returned to the main room. If you've got any questions along the way, do feel free to pop them into chat, and you can directly message me if you need to, if there's anything coming up. Kia ora. Kia ora koutou, welcome back. What we're going to do now is to share some background to the context in terms of Māori wards, knowing that many of you who have come on to this call may have been at the regional gathering that was held a couple of weeks ago, or already know quite a lot about this topic. So just saying that we are covering, I suppose, very much the basics in a relatively, in content that may be familiar to you, but wanting to lay it out because this is the sort of thing that is important grounding for the conversations that you're going to be having. So firstly, the content, just again, apologies from somebody else who couldn't join us tonight. Danielle Lucas has did her master's dissertation around Māori wards in 2022. She has shared that with us and shared the slides, some of the key ideas that are on this initial slide, which is obviously, like any conversation around anything to do with Te Tiriti o Waitangi, has a very long history, and a very long history of recognising that prior to anybody else turning up, Māori having their own systems of governance strongly in place, and that colonisation and the process of colonisation have meant that a system of local government has been established by the Kāwanatanga, by the Crown, that completely disregarded those existing systems and Māori political authorities and structures. So that's the sort of the base. And unsurprisingly, alongside this, and sort of as an outcome of this, Māori have been underrepresented in local government decision-making since its inception. A system set up to serve Pākehā. And that this is a graph from Danielle's work, and as it might be a little bit hard to see, but potentially you can see it back in the, if you happen to go back into the recording afterwards, but that consistently the percentage of councillors of Māori descent compared to the percentage of the voting age of Māori descent, it's always been less councillors than the percentage of the population. And just to recognise that when we're talking about Māori wards and constituencies, they are a way to improve Māori representation in local government. They are a mechanism that supports that higher representation, but they are only a mechanism that comes through that Kāwanatanga side of the relationship. So they are something that's sort of still obviously government Crown controlled. So they're not a replacement for genuine relationship with mana whenua, which is something that we also need to be advocating for. So it's a little bit like, I suppose, as many people in Te Tiriti circles found with the Treaty Principles Bill, like for years and years and years, we've been saying, forget about the principles, they're a Crown construct. We need to honour the articles of Te Tiriti o Waitangi itself. However, in this context, we've had to say, and they're also important to the Crown. So it's kind of we need both things. So Māori wards, they're not the strongest thing in terms of Te Tiriti at all. However, they're critical. They're critical to representation, and that's why we're all here, to keep them. So, and to encourage others to vote to keep them. Just to say, there is going to be an opportunity for questions as well a little bit later. So I'll just go through this content and then, yeah, we can have those questions. But do feel free to post any things, questions in chat as well if people have questions coming up as I'm speaking. So just, oh, sorry, there we go. Victoria may have already, or maybe about.
Having some technical difficulties, so I've just messaged Kate, seeing if she can upload it.
We're all about the technical difficulties tonight, people. Sorry about that. What we are going to share at some stage before the end of the evening is Danielle has shared and extracted a couple of chapters from her thesis. So her thesis is called Partnering or Prohibiting, and do Māori wards and constituencies provide fair and effective representation to tangata Māori? It was written in a context where, you know, she was advocating for stronger aspects with Māori wards, but she has put in there a couple of really useful chapters around more detail on the history and the background. So we'll share that document with you if you want to do some extra reading to get more into the detail of it. So in terms of Māori wards and constituencies, as a form of local representation, I mean, just the very basic thing is that local decision makers should be representing the communities that they serve. And all councils are required to and do these regular processes of reviewing their representation arrangements to ensure that they're fair and that they meet the needs of their communities. So that's a standard part of what happens for local government. Those reviews look at how many councillors they've got, how they're elected, whether they have wards, and included in that process, councils, if they're in rural areas, may establish a rural ward to ensure that the interests of the rural community are heard. Might be smaller numbers in that community, but they're seen as an important community, so a rural ward is established. We'll come back to why we're mentioning those in just a minute. So in terms of Māori wards, there's a range of reasons that we have them, including the fact that the Local Government Act does require councils to have processes in place to consult with Māori communities. They don't say that you have to have Māori wards, but Māori wards are a mechanism so that Māori interests are represented in council decision making. So they're really important in terms of supporting greater Māori voice in that decision making. Some of you may have had the great opportunity to be part of the welcome, this great young guy having cycled all the way from Whakatane here in support of Māori wards. So just remembering in terms of the mahi that we are doing, you know, that intergenerational aspect of it and how critical it is, and just the challenges that we generally have in representation and decisions being made for rangatahi by those who are not even rangatahi adjacent and who may not have a vision of future generations, or sometimes a very long vision for even this generation. So in terms of how Māori wards work, people enrolled on the Māori electoral roll people who are enrolled on the Māori electoral roll can vote for candidates standing in Māori wards. Those on the general electoral roll can vote for candidates standing in general wards. People can only be on one roll and can only vote once. And then the number of wards is proportional to the number of people on each roll. And just to say that Māori ward councillors represent the interests of Māori communities, as well as, obviously, like all the other councillors around the table, contributing to the collective decisions for the whole community. Just like if someone's there for a rural ward, they're part of those collective decisions, as well as representing the interests of that particular ward. So the key issues now is, as you're probably well aware, that the government is requiring councils to hold a binding poll on whether they want to maintain or to establish Māori wards in the area. And the big thing around this is that it's not a process that gets applied to anything else. So it's not, a binding referendum is not something that gets applied to rural wards. It's just being applied to Māori wards. So inequitable, unjust, unfair. What's going to be required is that each council will run their own poll alongside in the upcoming local body elections, and the voting for those starts on the 9th of September, running through into October. And so what is required is that it's the majority of voters must vote to keep Māori wards if the local Māori ward is to be retained or established. So it's not a question that is just going to out to people on the Māori roll. It is going to all voters. And yes, that's an important thing. 19th of September. is when voting starts, as we all know. So that's a pretty high level overview, just of some of the key points that you might pick up on in conversations. But in terms of kind of having resources when you're out there talking to people, there are some tag resources that you will be provided with, and Madeline will talk a little bit more later about kind of what's going to be in those packs. But there's both a kind of pamphlet form and then a simple explainer. That simple explainer has also got a link to this more detailed explainer that Groundwork has provided. So those are sources with a bit more kind of depth, and both of those explainers include lots of quotes from people in local government and mana whenua around the importance and the value of Māori awards in terms of richer, stronger, informed, better decisions for all our communities. And so they really kind of reiterate that importance and the need to mobilise people to keep the awards. So it's been a bit of a quick overview, really. And as you say, there's these other resources to provide kind of a bit more depth in detail and insight. What we're going to invite you to talk about now, again in breakout rooms, is just a couple of things. When you're in there, anything that's new information from the presentation, or you might have more depth that you want to share with others in your group around any aspect of that. And then also any questions that you have. And when we come back, we'll just open up for those questions. This is going to be a shortish breakout room, and so with slightly smaller group of people. So just in those for 5 minutes, is it? I think 4 minutes, very quick. So one quick thing, and any questions that you've got, and then we'll be able to share questions when we come back into the main room. Kia ora. We are a reasonably large group, unless you can't find chat on your screen if you're, running down the street during this call, or chat is difficult. We'd probably ask you to put any questions that you have into chat. Also, partly because if we get lots of questions, we'll find another way to answer them because we may not have time tonight. So just pause for a moment for you if you've got any questions at this stage in terms of Māori awards and constituency Oh, great question, Olivia. Olivia's asking if anyone's able to share how many councils have rural awards and how many have Māori awards as a comparison. Victoria, do you know?
Not off the top of my head.
Sam.
We could probably find that
I'm happy to answer that. Okay,
Yeah.
so some councils have rural awards, some councils don't. It depends which part of the country you're in. Manawatu District Council has a rural ward that has the equal number of councillors to the urban ward, but that's because Feilding has a lump of population in the same population for the rest of it. Rotorua Lakes District Council has one rural ward, which ironically was introduced as part of the introduction of Māori wards. And basically, it is to... A ward is a proportional representation of an area. In the case of Wellington City Council, we have 5 general wards, 4 of them with 3 councillors, 1 with 2, and I am in the unlucky 2. And we also have a Māori ward. If you go to Rotorua, they have 6 general ward councillors, 3 Māori ward councillors, and 1 rural ward councillor. And a lot of rural wards kind of also have a community board that sits underneath them, but you also have that in some cities as well. The Kapiti Coast, everywhere is represented by a community board. In the case of Wellington, we only have community boards in Tawa or Oharu Makra.
Val's asked that question about comparison with Māori MPs. It's a really good question, Val. I think Jen spoke to it a little bit earlier about when she talked about the treaty principles being problematic, but better than nothing kind of situation. The Māori MPs is a much, much, much longer history of Māori MPs being in Parliament than there is, because the first constituency was set up at Bay of Plenty Regional Council only in, I think it was 2004, so it's much more recent. In terms of it providing a voice, I guess there's a useful comparison there. But I guess one of the differences is when you're talking about local government, those relationships with mana whena being really to the fore in those local communities. So there's a little bit of a difference there in terms of the need for those relationships to be there as well. Jen or anyone else want to say anything else about that?
I mean, I suppose the other part is, like the history of Māori MPs is that was a process to restrict Māori voice in Parliament in terms of their history. So
it was a compromise to do with the fact that prior to 1889, I think it was, you had to own land in an individual capacity to vote, and Māori owned land in a collective capacity.
Yeah, and so when that actually changed, it was put in as a restriction on the number.
Yeah. And they were never proportional until 1996.
Yeah.
Sam, your question about two referendums, are you talking about territorial and regional
council?
Yeah.
And because a lot of people don't know that there are likely to be two, and there are also some parts of the country like Upper Hutt who chose to reverse their Māori ward because of the fact they don't have wards at all. A lot of people go, but we haven't got one in our council, not realising the regional council will have one as well. So it's not just a one-tick campaign, it's possibly a two-ticks campaign, and it's how to explain that. In most places, you've got two referendums, not one.
Yeah,
that's a good point.
And thank you, Lou. Lou's put in links to a link to part of the Local Government New Zealand site, and it's useful information there. And Georgia, also thank you for your link to Connect Up. And I think when Madeline speaks, we'll be a little bit more talking about connecting with the groups in your regions as well. So really appreciate that. And seeing Noah Mark, that's obviously being male, is that our reference to who was allowed to vote and land ownership. Yes. If there's no other burning questions right now, there will be other opportunities, obviously, through this whole process to ask questions of each other and to be able to get more support in terms of feeling confident in what you're talking about, and probably some of those things that you want the answers to, you'll know once you've had more conversations out and about with people. Just a reminder that those basic those resources are there that we've provided links to. Kate has put the link through to Danielle's thesis chapters for a bit of the history, and there are the explainers. In the interest of time, I will hand, I think, to Madeline now so that she can talk a bit about the campaign and the key aspects of that. Is that okay, Madeline?
Thank you, Jen, and lovely to see everybody on this chat tonight. And if you could move, thank you very much. So, firstly, to say that there's both a national and a Poneke tag campaign, and the national campaign's been led by the wonderful people at Action Station, and you can go onto their Action Station website and have a look at that. But the first part of the campaign is getting people to enrol for people who haven't perhaps voted before. And so there are some links there about how to enrol, and if you don't get enrolled by this certain date, then you can still take a special vote. So you could actually even vote right up until you can enrol right up until the day of the local body elections too. So when people say that we're not enrolled, you can't vote, that's not true. And so the second part of the campaign is getting people to actually go up and vote once they've enrolled. And what we understand is that if we're wanting to retain Māori wards within this area here, we need 25,000 votes in Wellington, 15,000 in the Hutt, 8,000 in Porirua, and 10,000 in Kapiti. And so I know that we now have a Porirua group that is setting up and a Kapiti group that's also going for gold. And yay, and the Hutt group are having a little stall at the Riverside Mall, this Riverside market this weekend on Saturday morning. And so, you know, encouraging people to get involved in those things. And so we've got a lot of people who are out there putting up posters and supporting people to understand that this is a process to carry on with. The other thing that I want to say about that is that there is a real push to stop this from happening. And so there's been a documentary that's called Fabricated Consent, which has been put together about the pushback around this kind of tēnā ranga tiratanga. And so if you want to know some more about that, we can put that link in as well. And so we'll just move on to the next slide, I think, please, where I'm going to talk a little bit about how the stalls work. So the first thing to do is to decide on when and who is going to do that. Get permission before you get off and do that, so that remember that we're still operating under TAG, and therefore the values and beliefs that we want everybody to work with. Collect your stall kit from your ohu leader, and I'll give you that information shortly. And then have a really practical way of thinking about setting up with the tables, the chairs, the gazebo if it's going to be wet or windy, clipboards to stop your papers from rolling around, paperweights to stop them blowing off, the QR code so that people can access TAG information, making sure that you've got appropriate clothing for the weather, snacks and water for you so that you're looking after yourself, making sure that we work in pairs with our smiling faces, really engaging and welcoming to people. And if you don't know the answer, because we're not all experts in this, let people know that we can get back to them and that we can answer questions that they might have. Make sure that we really thank people for the time that they are with us, and thinking about being able to gently disengage with people if they're an interesting personality and it's not very pleasant for you. And then encourage people to take resources away and invite them to enroll if they're up for that. And of course, if people are enthusiastic, then invite them to join TAG as well, as a way of really encouraging people to work together. Thank you. Let's go to the next slide. So in the kit, you'll find information that Belle has put together, which are the election enrolment forms and envelopes, and the TAG Māori Ward Explainer, a vote to keep Māori wards, obviously, leaflet, some stickers and posters. Is there anything you want to add to that, Belle?
I would just add simply that I think the kit will expand with some other fun stuff in the coming weeks. So we hope to have some more kind of election-y kind of stuff, like badges and other stickers and things, kind of fun stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, and also that if people find that, I guess, that you need something that isn't there, if there would be a helpful resource, maybe just to feed that information back through the Ohu leads, because there is lots of different stuff that we could include, but we've tried to keep it reasonably limited, just so people aren't kind of super overwhelmed by really dense materials to read, but open to some ideas if people need other things.
Nice. And then we've got here the contact people for the different ohu around the areas. So there's Jessie, Emma and Amanda, Stephen, and I'm not sure how to say your name. Is it? Do you want to say it?
Chigal.
Chigal. Yeah, Chigal.
Yeah.
Thank you. And also I see that someone's also put in the chat that they're supporting that conversation too. So I don't know if any of the leads want to say hi and wave and let people know who they are for this moment. Quigal.
Leads, Chigal. So I'm Chigal, so with the Porirua group, we're calling ourselves Tag Porirua. We started with 5 people. We now have about 11, with 9 who are active in, you know, our forward movement. I'm still waiting to hear from Valerie. But anyway, we'll carry on. Thank you. And just wanted to say too, you know, I hope Shamia and her whānau are doing okay. Kia ora.
Kia ora. Kia ora, Chigo. Thank you for that. I don't think Stephen's there, but he has absolutely said for people to get in touch with him. Emma or Amanda, I'm not sure if you're here tonight.
Kia ora, I'm Emma. Yeah, Amanda had to be somewhere else. But yeah, really excited to work in Pōneke, and we've had some started last weekend with some stalls out at the Harbourside Market in Newtown, and yeah, has been really awesome conversation so far. So yeah.
Nice. Thank you, Emma. And I'm not sure if Jessie's about. She's been flat out. Yeah, so that's our leads for now. And I also thought that it would be useful to share a little bit about the experience that people have had so far, but knowing that we're going to have an absolutely beautiful session next week where we're going to do a much deeper dive and explanation about how to really engage with people, making sure that we're wearing that korowai of the way that we want to interact with people. But for this week, here are some ideas for how to start the conversation. Firstly, kia ora, are you enrolled to vote in the local elections? And then trying to get the other person to speak, and then sharing some information because of why you think it's important that Māori wards are here. The other one is, have you had a letter from the Electoral Commission about local body elections? So it's a nice way for some people wouldn't know whether they've actually something's arrived in the post or not. So that's a little way that you can start to have that conversation straight up. And most important, to really observe and match your intensity with the other person's body language so that you know whether they're engaged with you or whether they're kind of trying to walk away. Then have a think about knowing that when people have been out and about already, they have found it much easier to enrol people using the physical forms, because the online ones have some steps and they need some ID verification, and it gets a little bit complicated. So our experience has been to just take along the forms that Val has provided and to let people take that. And then they also said that, quite surprisingly, that people were quite happy for you to go and post them, so that they would actually fill it out, put it in the envelope, give it back to you, and so that you could pop it in the post. And that's a really cool thing too. Then thinking about some people who don't have any housing at the moment, there are some really useful information about how people can manage that. And one of them is that you can use old addresses, but you do have to have a physical address that you can enrol yourself in. So they've got some really good ideas about how to do that. Another one is to be sure that sometimes people don't want to have their information posted in public because of safety reasons for their whānau. And so you can also talk to people about the fact that they can get onto an unpublished role, but have a little look at that if you think that you're going to end up having conversations with people about that sort of situation. The other thing they discovered, which I think is hilarious, is that Māori wards is not about a particular hospital ward. Like, some people were getting quite confused, thinking that actually a Māori ward meant that we were having special wards in the hospital for Māori people. Yeah, so these words are quite complex, aren't they? So as we go out and do our work, people might want to talk about the referendum, and so that you have enough information that helps you to be able to answer any of those questions about why we're having one, and what that means. Information about the tag details and learning how to respond. And I know that Tau Iwi Tautoko have courses coming up in August, and so if you want some more detailed information about that, but as well, we're going to be getting into that in our next workshop next week, so that's really cool. We'll be able to have a really good ability to practice. So that's all I've got to say tonight. So I'll hand back to you, Jen.
Just want to check if there's anyone else from steering group or anyone who's been on the stalls if there's any other points to add in there, Val or Emma or anybody else who's...
Actually, I've got one more point, which is that there's also some really useful information in various languages, and so we can also put that link up for people to be able to access that, which is in my speaking notes. So I'll make sure that that gets up.
So just check sorry, whether Val or anybody else had any other parts to add around the campaign of the experience? No? Kapai. Just noticing too, heaps of people sharing great stuff in chat, connecting with each other and sharing information. So really appreciate that, and it's so exciting to hear about the Porirua group, to hear about the other groups, and so grateful for those of you who are leading that and who are joining up and connecting. Just in terms of having a little bit more time to connect this evening, we might just now have another breakout group so that you can have an opportunity for a little bit longer, for another sort of, what are you up to with time? Another 5 minute in breakout rooms, just to maybe share where you're up to in terms of having had any of these conversations before, and any sort of questions that might be on top for you at this stage of where we're up to. Yeah. Hope you had another good connection with everyone in breakout rooms. Just before I forget to mention it, it is the slide that's up there. If you're not joined up to the general group of Te Reti Action Group Pōneke, do sign up either via the email, or you can scan for signing up. So just because you've joined and opted into doing this training doesn't mean that you're necessarily signed up for that. So an invitation to do that, and Kate has also put that link into the chat as well if you want it. Lou, you have a partai.
Never quite fast enough with that unmute button. Yeah, so like I'm under the KCDC Council, and that's still appropriate to join the Pōneke group, or what's the preference?
So Lou, what will happen is if you fill out that form, that tag form that Kate's just put in the chat, those email, that all comes through, and then I can hook you up with the Kapiti organisers. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. So would that be the chat, Stephen?
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah.
Okay. Awesome. Because I just wanted to check about, like etiquette for which groups are doing what where, and is it okay to kind of tag along, Yeah. Thank you. And
Madeline's just put a comment in the chat as well around recognising that when you're talking to people, if people aren't eligible to vote because they're not resident here, but they've got friends and others that they can talk to, then that's a good opportunity to sort of say, hey, you can share this information with others, even if you're only in Aotearoa for a week on holiday and you want to learn about the issues, the ability to have chats and conversations with others. And that is something that we probably should also be emphasising. We've talked quite a bit about the process of, getting out there to stalls and markets and those types of things. However, that might not be something that you have capacity to do. There's still very much, ways to be involved if you don't have capacity or a desire to be on stalls or do that aspect, because the conversations that you can have with people in your community, with colleagues, with friends, with family, all of those places are really critical places to be having these conversations as well. So wherever, if your thing is going, well, what I can manage in this next while is to talk to, 3 other people and equip them to talk to 3 other people, that's also, a really critical contribution to this campaign. So want to just recognise that in all the ways that we can take part.
Sam's got his hand up and Claire's got a question.
Oh, okay. And is that question in chat, or we can come to you, Sam? Yeah.
My one is you will also get people who are non-citizens who will ultimately assume they're not eligible to vote. If you've had permanent residency for more than 12 months, you are eligible to vote. And the weird thing about that rule is it's the moment from when you first enter the country, not actually from the moment you get granted the residency. So if someone is, say, an overseas, they've got permanent residency but they haven't got citizenship, you can tell them they can also vote. It's just basically if you're on a work visa, a student visa, or tourist visa, you can't vote. And also for those who are overseas, get them to either use you can do it online without a signature if you use your New Zealand passport or your New Zealand driver's license to update your details. Obviously, if you're an overseas resident who's kind of moved out of the country, you've got to use the driver's license if you haven't got a New Zealand passport. But you can use either of those 2 details to up it, and you'll need to do it by the 1st of April to ensure the voting papers actually get sent out to you overseas. So that's something worth noting, because you'll get a lot of people go, I can't enroll to vote because I'm not a citizen. So just point out, if you are doing that, actually you can, if you've got residency, you can enroll and you can vote. So, encourage them to join the game.
Kia ora, Sam. Thank you for that information. Toby.
Kia ora. It's a follow-up question. Just clarifying, so if, for example, my mum, who's from New Zealand but lives in the UK, she's still enrolled and has been voting in general elections, I presume that means that she's already set up to vote in local elections as well. I'll just need to get her to work out where that is.
It's the last election they lived in the country, and she'll just have to give the postal vote. She can get the postal vote, so you put your postal address as your international address, and you have your residential address as the last address you lived at in New Zealand, and that would be the way to vote. Now, just to warn your mum, she'll have to pay for the postage to send the envelope back to New Zealand.
Cool.
But that's just a little thing in there, like they'll post it to go out, but the thing is, it's New Zealand, it's not international. But you can send the voting papers out and it gets back, and it's 32 days period from when they're posted to when they have to be back in. So that should be enough time to get to the UK and get back.
Wait, cheers, Sam.
Kia ora koutou. Just seeing that your question has been, there's answers in chat to your question too, Claire, so thank you for that. Just in the interest of time, we might round up the questions there, but thank you for all of the questions and the information that has been shared. And just going to give a little bit of preparation for next week. I'm wondering, actually, Gayatri, if you are still on the call, whether you want to talk to the slide?
Sure. Yeah, happy to.
Since you're leading next week.
Yeah. Yes. So, because next week's session is going to focus more specifically on holding conversations with people, whether they're people you know or people you don't know. But it's useful to reflect on our own experience of getting to the point that we have. So no one kind of like is birthed into the world like a fully politically aware. So it's useful to reflect on our own conscientizing process, especially when we're thinking about how do we want to recruit other people to our team on this issue. So we're giving you this pre-workshop task to reflect on that, and we'll make use of it next time. And we'll also be giving you a little bit of a framework for how to have these conversations to make it a little bit easier.
Kia ora, Gayatri. And also, again, that prompt is in this, or the ideas are in the slide, and Kate has just popped them into chat for all of you as well. So some things to reflect on to prepare for what will be a great session next week, in terms of just thinking about how we are and how we hold those conversations wherever they might be and whoever they might be with. So just checking in with others of the steering group, if there's anything else that we need to cover before we close for tonight. No? Kapai? So just on behalf of the TAG steering group and collective, just really want to mihi to all of you. It's, as you say, so heartening in these times that we come together and work collectively under the mantle and in response to the call, and alongside the leadership that Mana Whenua is holding us within for this campaign, and for all the work of TAG, and just the importance of these conversations that around upholding Te Tiriti, keeping Māori wards for the well-being of our communities now and into the future. So ai kanuitani kia koutou katoa kua taimai I tēnei hui atu pōnei. Ai mihi nunui kia koutou. David, I'm just saying you've got your hand up in the final moments. Is it a simple question? Can it be popped into chat?
Very simple question. I moderate a group called Kill the RSP Bill on Facebook. We've got about 3,300 people. Are you going to run these courses again, or is this it? It's just we have a lot of people there who actually sorry, I've just thought of this now, but there's a lot of people who might be interested in joining these chats. Are you running these again? Is there any way I can get people involved from those groups to help us? Killed it.
That's an awesome question. I think that we maybe follow up directly with you. One of the things is that we have recorded tonight because we know that more people will come on board. There's probably not capacity to keep running the sessions over and over again, but it's definitely part of the campaign to think about how we build and bring more and more people into the conversation. So presumably you're on the call, so we've got your email and you will be here next week. So that sounds awesome. If we've got more, and for anybody else who's got broader networks or other people to bring who want to come on board, then yes, that's kind of a rolling thing of building the numbers. So
Killed it.
Great, thanks for that. So, and yeah, thank you for the work that you've been doing, and thank you for all of the work you're doing and all the work that is to come. So I just want to close again with words from Huirangi Waikirapuru to send us out into the rest of our evening, and to acknowledge as well that this is a beginning of this particular work together, and that we're looking forward to seeing you again next week as well. So ko mutu a mātou mahi mo tēnei wā. Manakitia mai mātou katoa, o mātou hoa, o mātou whānau, ai au ki te aorangi.